Imagine finding out that Service Canada might owe you 11 months of back payments right now, just sitting there unclaimed because nobody ever told you that you qualified. That's not a hypothetical. That's happening to thousands of Canadian seniors this very year. Before we get into this, if you find this helpful, please consider subscribing to CPP OAS Weekly Update. It genuinely motivates us to keep digging up accurate, timely pension information like this for you week after week. Today we're talking about the Guaranteed Income Supplement, known as GIS, and there's a real update you need to hear. As of the July to September 2026 quarter, the maximum monthly GIS payment has officially increased to $1,123.17. This isn't a rumor floating around online. This is confirmed directly from the federal government's own published payment schedule, updated just weeks ago. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly whether you qualify, how much you could be entitled to, and one mistake that causes thousands of seniors to lose this money every single year without even realizing it. Let's start with the basics, because even seniors who've been receiving OAS for years sometimes misunderstand how GIS actually works. GIS is a monthly, completely tax-free payment. It's added on top of your regular old age security pension. It exists specifically to support seniors whose income is lower so that no one is left trying to survive on too little in their retirement years. Here's something that surprises a lot of people. GIS is not a one-time approval. Unlike some benefits where you apply once and you're set for life, GIS is reassessed every single year based on the income you reported on your tax return from the year before. That single detail trips up more seniors than almost anything else in this entire system. We'll come back to exactly why in just a moment, because it matters more than most people realize. So who actually qualifies for that full $1,123? If you are single, divorced, or widowed, and your annual income, not including your OAS pension, is under $22,800, you may be eligible for that full maximum amount. If you have a spouse or common law partner who also receives the full OAS pension, the maximum changes. In that case, it's $676.09 each, and your combined household income needs to stay under $30,096. There are two more categories worth knowing. If your spouse receives the allowance, the same $676 maximum applies, with a slightly higher combined income limit. And if your spouse doesn't receive OAS or the allowance at all, the full single maximum of $1,123 still applies to you. Now here's a question worth sitting with for a second. Do you actually know which of these categories you fall into? Most seniors have never sat down and mapped their own situation against these numbers, and that gap in knowledge is exactly where money gets left on the table. Let's clear up something important, because this is where a lot of confusion spreads online, especially on social media. These are maximum amounts. They are not guaranteed amounts for everyone. You only receive the full $1,123 if your income, aside from OAS, is at or very close to zero. As your income rises, even by a small amount, your GIS payment begins to shrink. And here's the part that catches people off guard. It doesn't wait until you hit the income ceiling to start reducing. The reduction begins from your very first dollar of additional income. So how exactly does that reduction work? This next part is something almost nobody explains clearly, so pay close attention. For every dollar of income you have above a small exemption, your GIS is reduced by 50 cents. If you're a senior with part-time work, RRIF withdrawals, or investment income, that income is quietly reducing your GIS every single month, sometimes without you even noticing until the payment arrives smaller than expected. But there is genuinely good news here too. The first $5,000 of employment income is completely exempt from this calculation. And between $5,000 and $15,000 of employment income, only half of it counts toward reducing your GIS. That's a real cushion. It means a senior who wants to keep working a little, whether out of enjoyment or necessity, doesn't automatically lose their entire supplement the moment they earn something. Now let's talk about the single biggest mistake that causes seniors to lose GIS completely, even when they were fully entitled to receive it. That mistake is simple, and it happens more often than you'd think: not filing your taxes on time. GIS is recalculated every July based on the tax return you filed the year before. If you don't file by the deadline, Service Canada has no way to reassess your eligibility. Your payments can be suspended entirely, even if your actual income would have qualified you for the full amount. I want to say this as clearly as I can. File your taxes every single year, even if you have no income to report, even if you're certain you owe nothing. This one habit is the foundation that keeps your GIS flowing without interruption. Here's something else worth knowing, especially if you're doing any retirement income planning right now. Withdrawals from a TFSA do not count as income for GIS purposes. Read that again because it's a powerful piece of information. That means if you're choosing between drawing from a TFSA or an RRSP or RRIF in a given year, the TFSA withdrawal stays completely invisible to the GIS calculation. RRIF withdrawals, on the other hand, do count as income, and they can quietly reduce your supplement. This is exactly the kind of detail a good financial plan takes advantage of, and exactly the kind of detail most seniors are never told about. So what if you believe you should be receiving GIS, but you're currently not? Unlike OAS, GIS is not automatic. You have to apply for it yourself. And here's a detail that genuinely surprises people every time we share it. If you were eligible for GIS in the past and simply never applied, Service Canada can pay you retroactively for up to 11 months of missed payments once your application is approved. Think about what that could mean in real dollars. 11 months at the maximum rate could add up to well over $10,000 in a single retroactive payment. That's not a small oversight to leave unresolved. So if you've been putting off applying, or you assumed you didn't qualify without ever actually checking, it is absolutely worth taking 20 minutes to look into it properly. One more thing that's worth understanding, because it affects your payments every few months, not just once a year. These maximum amounts and income thresholds are not fixed for the whole year. They're adjusted quarterly in January, April, July, and October based on the Consumer Price Index. That's actually reassuring news. Under the Old Age Security Act, these payments can never be reduced, even if the cost of living happens to go down. They only ever move in one direction, and that direction is up. So let's bring this all together, because I know we've covered a lot of ground. First, check your income, specifically income other than OAS, against the thresholds we just walked through. Know exactly which category applies to your situation. Second, make sure your taxes are filed and current every single year. This is what protects your GIS from being suspended without warning. Third, if you're not currently receiving GIS and you suspect you might qualify, don't wait. Apply. You could be entitled to nearly a year of retroactive payments waiting for you. And finally, if you're actively planning your retirement income, remember that TFSA withdrawals stay outside the GIS calculation entirely. That's a real tool you can use to protect your monthly supplement. If this video helped clear things up for you today, it would mean a lot if you hit the like button right now. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to CPP OAS Weekly Update so you never miss an update like this one that could genuinely affect your monthly income. We post new videos every single week, always bringing you the real numbers straight from the source. No exaggeration and no guesswork. Before you go, I'd love to know, in the comments below, are you currently receiving GIS, or is this the first time you're learning that you might actually qualify? I read every single comment, and I try to respond to as many as I can. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.